I'm making it my mission to turn this Monster Energy into delicious alcohol.
No clue if this is actually gonna work.
Not what I expected.
The world needs to taste this.
Sweet Monster Energy. Tastes like victory, feels like regret. But what if we turn it into wine? In case you don't know anything about brewing, no worries. All you really need to know is that alcohol can be made by combining sugar, doesn't matter where it comes from, and yeast. And if you want to try it yourself, because you should, stick around till the end for a surprise. Anyways, a while back I tried to add yeast to Monster just because I wanted to see what would happen. But unfortunately nothing happened, it didn't work, and I couldn't figure out why.
First attempt at the Monster wine, didn't go as planned. We're gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Was this ever a good idea?
But I wasn't going to give up that easily. With a little bit of research and my reputation on the line, I came up with a plan. I knew that if I truly wanted to achieve the impossible and ferment Monster into wine, I'd have to get creative, and I need to pull out every brewing trick I know. So this time, I'm approaching this much more scientifically.
So there are two different obstacles that I think prevented the Monster from fermenting the first time. And the first is preservatives. There are all sorts of different preservatives in Monster, and they're added for one purpose, to kill microbes like yeast. So what we'll need is an army of the strongest, most well-equipped yeast possible if we even want a chance of this happening. And the second thing that makes Monster so deadly and inhospitable is the acidity. I'm surprised it doesn't burn through the cans it's stored in. And we voluntarily drink this. So here is the plan. First, we're going to use the yeast to make a yeast starter, and then we're also going to make some pH adjustments to the Monster so that hopefully the conditions aren't as harsh. Then we're going to combine the starter with the Monster, and if all goes smoothly, that'll make some alcohol.
To build this army of yeast, they need to be nourished and cared for and grown, and this can be done relatively simply by rehydrating the dry yeast with warm water and nutrient. There are also a ton of different brewing yeasts out there, but I chose this one specifically because it's known for being able to eat through just about anything.
Alright, so now that this is mixed, we'll just set it aside for about 15 minutes to properly rehydrate, and in the meantime, we'll prepare the starter solution.
The starter consists of a honey water mix that'll feed the yeast with some sugar without overloading them. And essentially doing this separately from the Monster creates a giant breeding ground for the yeast and gives them a chance to acclimate to a sugary environment before they're introduced to the beast.
Just making sure this is nice and mixed, and this looks pretty good right here.
The sugar content of the starter should be about half of what I expect my full Monster concoction to start with. In my case, that's a gravity of 1.025. Full disclosure, I have never tried this yeast starter method, mostly because I've never needed to. This is way more involved and complicated than the typical mead making process looks like, and that's because the conditions for making mead are usually perfectly fine for yeast. But in case you forgot, this is Monster we're dealing with, so I wanted to pull out every trick in the book.
So it's been exactly 15 minutes, so now we can get this yeast mixed in with the starter. We'll get that all mixed in here, and I just want to be careful that I don't get that stir rod. And there we go. And now in the next few hours, this should start fermenting, and this will produce not only alcohol, but also CO2 gas. And so for that reason, we also need to add an airlock.
I let these yeast go to work for 2 days, and as you can see, they are going absolutely crazy, which is exactly what we want, except they just have no idea what they're in for.
So now that we have the yeast starter going nice and strong, now it's time to focus on the Monster.
Now for this, I'll actually just be using my 1-gallon mead kit, which comes with everything you need to make wine, mead, or cider. Believe it or not, I do make normal things too, and my kits include recipes, so check it out in the description if you're interested.
And now the first thing I'm going to do is get this vessel filled with Monster. Look at that. And I want to be sure that I'm leaving just enough space so that I can add my starter as well.
So we've done our best to try to accommodate for the preservatives by creating the giant colony of yeast. But now we need to shift our focus to the acid problem in the Monster, and I know a way to fix that. As you can see, the starting pH of our Monster is 3.43. But I also want to release all of the carbonation I can, since carbonic acid in Monster also affects the pH value. And by the way, I know this looks absolutely ridiculous, but this is actually a super handy method for degassing. Now, to raise the pH, all we have to do is add some baking soda. More specifically, we want to add just enough to get the pH above 3.7, but want to keep it under 4. This is typically what's best for winemaking. I should also add that alkalization is something that should be done with care, because while low pH isn't ideal, you still need the right amount to protect against other microbes. But sticking to this range for this yeast is no problem at all. And as you can see, we've got the pH all the way up to 3.85.
Now we have this monster neutralized. This is going to be way better for the yeast, so now we can go ahead and add the starter. I have no clue if this is actually going to work.
But just one day later, lo and behold, we've got fermentation.
This is fermenting like crazy. I was a little worried because a few hours after I added this starter, I could just see a few bubbles here and there. And bubbles aren't the best indication of fermentation. You really want to use a hydrometer, but this is clearly fermenting very rapidly and I did not expect it at all.
These CO2 bubbles are a byproduct of fermentation, so yes, this monster is literally transforming into alcohol before our eyes.
I think the monster is finally being tamed, and we just need to play our cards right now and hope that we can finish through to the end.
Now, one thing you might notice is how cloudy this is compared to a normal wine. It'll naturally clear up by itself over time as particles settle, but one way to help make this happen quicker is to add a clearing agent like bentonite clay.
So bentonite has negative charge ions. These negative charge ions bond with positive charge ions, and they basically create a clump that'll fall to the bottom. That's how mead is cleared. The reason I like adding it during primary fermentation like this is because the liquid is bubbling and circulating, and it just helps make sure that it gets evenly distributed.
Stirring in just a little bit is a great way to help get a clear final product, so now the only thing we're waiting on is fermentation. I think we've actually done it. I didn't think this was possible, but my plan worked. In just a week and a half, this appears to be completely done fermenting and is totally clear. But before you get too excited, there's only one way to be absolutely sure that this worked, and that's to measure the specific gravity.
So now we'll just have to take another gravity measurement, and the reason we have to do that is we just need to verify that there's no sugar left to be fermented. And so what we're looking at here is where that liquid level lines up on the hydrometer, and that'll be our specific gravity reading.
And it looks like there is no sugar left.
So because of how much sugar is in Monster Energy, if we were using just Monster by itself, this would have gone to 7% alcohol. But if you remember, this isn't just Monster. We had the quart of starter, and we also had some of the bentonite slurry solution. So all of that will dilute what's in here, and so you need to account for that when you're calculating your ABV. So considering what we added, our estimated ABV with those contributions came out to about 5.6%. Not bad.
So now we've verified that this is actually done, and it's safe to say that the preservatives and acidity were no match for what we put together. So what I'm going to do now is get this bottled. Now I'd love to sit and explain everything that goes into bottling and capping and go through all of the experiments I have planned with sweetening and blending what I've got left over. But I don't want to bore you, and at this point I know you probably don't care about any of that. So let's jump to the important question. How does it actually taste?
Alright, so what is the moment of truth? We're going to see if this was actually worth all of the time and effort. I mean, it was regardless, but it would be sweet if it's actually good. So I've been calling this Monster wine, but it's really not a wine at all. But it's also not a mead, it's not a beer, it's kind of, I mean, I don't know what it is. It's fermented Monster. We're going to go with Monster wine, and for that reason we're going to be using a wine glass. It feels wrong, but this whole thing sort of feels wrong. I totally thought it would be more green. Honestly, it smells exactly like Monster. I'm not really getting a whole lot of alcohol scent. Nervous to try it. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I was totally prepared to give this a brutally honest, I thought this was going to be absolutely terrible. I was ready to bash this, but I can't. I cannot believe I made this. The world needs to taste this. You probably think because I made this, I'm just going to talk it up to be the best thing in the world, and I mean, it's not the greatest creation I ever made, but it's good. Okay, let me go back. It's good compared to what I was expecting, and what I was expecting was pure gasoline, maybe acid, I don't know, but this tastes like Monster that's flat with maybe a little bit of vodka or something. But even then, it doesn't have the burn that vodka does, and it's almost 6%. This is crazy. This is sort of weird. I don't even think Monster has lemon lime flavor in it, and maybe the color is getting to my head, but it sort of tastes like lemon lime Gatorade, like the yellow Gatorade. I wonder if it still has caffeine. I'm at a loss for words, honestly. So here we go. At the end of the day, the Monster wine totally blew my expectations. It tastes actually like something that I would drink, or that I would be happy to have other people try and tell me what they think. It's not something I'm embarrassed about. I'm actually proud of this. This is insane. But also, just this experiment as a whole, using the yeast starter, I would totally use that to try to ferment just about anything. And like I said, I might try that with my regular mead recipes because it tastes like this has a clean, crisp, well-rounded fermentation, and it certainly speeds things up. So I can't wait to experiment more with that. Now it's time to celebrate. So to celebrate the success of the Monster wine, I'm going to be doing a huge giveaway to 3 winners, and these are the prizes. Third place will get this limited edition stitched patch trucker hat in the color of your choice, and they're actually really nice quality. These aren't even on sale yet, and I only made a few. Second place will get not only a hat, but also 3 pounds of my Wildflower honey. It's raw, unfiltered, TrueSource certified, and perfect for making a gallon of mead. And finally, first place will get this mega pack all-in-one brewing kit, which is actually a few kits. This will include a 3-pack fermenter kit that comes with all of the ingredients and equipment you need. You'll also receive a 3-pack of the raw Wildflower honey, 9 pounds total, and on top of that you'll also get a bottling kit that comes with a case of 12 bottles, caps, and a capping tool. Basically, this package instantly turns your home into an operating meadery, and the nice thing is, it's all very much beginner friendly. So to enter the giveaway, it's real simple, but listen carefully if you want to be selected. As always, like, comment, and be sure to subscribe, not just for this giveaway, but because I've got a whole lot more videos just like this coming real soon, and you're not going to want to miss them. Then all you have to do is go to my Instagram post and tag a friend. That's it. I'll be sure to link that post and add the details to the giveaway in the description, and then be on the lookout for the winner to be announced at the end of the month. And finally, if you guys have any ideas for things you want to see me try next, definitely let me know, because I will try just about anything. Almost anything. Cheers guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.